Hello!
Hello.
Welcome to another month of Gestures Vaguely. This month, our patrons asked us to play a couple of games from the developer known as Rana Strange.
So naturally, I picked the one about the fish war.
Yeah, the Cod War.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing that happened. I know about.
Cool, I see.
It's a neat little historical anecdote.
Yeah.
That I actually happen to know about. One of the stranger chapters of the Cold War is the series of naval engagements between... Actually, you know what? You wanted to play this game. You read it.
Okay.
You're narrating this one.
One of the stranger chapters of the Cold War is the series of naval engagements between Iceland and the United Kingdom.
God, you're so good at that. Why do I do this?
Known as the Cod Wars. As UK fisheries continued to move into Icelandic territorial waters, mild naval skirmishes between the Icelandic Coast Guard and the Royal Navy increased. This led to Iceland threatening from withdrawing from NATO altogether, a hard bargain for the Western powers, for whom Iceland's location had prime strategic importance.
It's a big island in the middle of the sea, yeah.
23rd of August, 1973, aboard the ICGV Eiger.
Is that Ire?
I don't know.
Like Ferdinand Vaughn? Oh my god!
It's a bitsy.
It is a bitsy, yeah.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool. Can we interact with shit?
Don't look like it.
Alright. The bell does not ring. Okay, cool. It does not toll for thee. The 4-door is unlocked. Oh,
what about the 5-door?
Should we go back and talk to that person over there? Okay. Hi.
Torfi sits cross-legged, having a smoke. Torfi. Sorry, mate, don't have any spares. Try Inga, he has plenty to share.
Alright. Sounds good. So we could go in.
Or we could go find Inga.
Oh my god, there's so much. Okay, well let's start over here. In the forward, or...
The gunner is sleeping.
Good, get some sleep, gunner.
The stepladder leads up to the ship's QF 6-pound Hotchkiss gun. Perhaps an extravagance for a patrol ship, but what is the Cold War if not another arms race? Catch is that here the race is with the British rather than the Soviets.
Gotta make sure we catch all those cod.
The wireless radio is off. Not much signal at this range anyway.
Good gosh, there's so much to this. We can go up and down?
You have no reason to enter the cabin door.
Well, alright then. Hello?
Ebsen was born in Norway, but has darker skin than the rest of the crew. Still a surprise we found your boat out last night.
Yeah? Wait, no, you should be you.
Oh. When I joined the ICGV, I was told how it was going to be about defusing sea mines and helping drowning sailors, but that rarely comes up.
Recruitment posters do tend to stretch the truth.
These days, it's all about unlicensed fishing and national security. They usually shoot me a dirty look when they say it. Shirt me a duty look.
Alright.
It's a letter. The long-wave radio is tuned into Udvarp Reykjavik.
I knew one of those words. I am gonna get so lost in this thing.
It'll be fine.
There were stairs over there too.
It'll be fine.
Even touch the stairs.
The icebox is full of mutton, fish, and beef, but it looks like someone is using it to cool some batteries. Hakon and John are having a normal one.
If you ask me, this is all because of the Germans.
The Germans?
Yeah, they reject any treaty that doesn't favor the British. West Germany doing communist Germany's bidding.
Wait, helping out Britain is East Germany's bidding?
Think about it. The Soviets oppose our treaty extension as well. East-West is a farce. The real conflict is between Europe and us.
They're having this war all for our sake? Tell them they needn't have bothered.
This isn't a joke. Our government still kowtows to Euro socialism. This could be all over in a week if we just gave the British an ultimatum and sent ships to their waters.
Wait, are the British socialists too?
I don't care if they are or not. They're not taking our fish.
But you don't fish.
I could if I wanted to. Come on, man. We talked about this. Having a normal one.
They've gone quiet.
A very normal one they are having.
Inga is the ship's cook, a Norwegian national.
Dinner is at 1900.
Oh, I'm not hungry.
Oh, wait, I'm you, right.
No, I'm me.
Okay. I understand this. Crew has been worried about fish this whole time. Fish could not be further from their minds. If it helps to know, mutton is for dinner tonight.
It does not.
Well, alright, thank you.
Still not sharing.
Apparently not.
Nobody knows Sifjader's real name except for the captain. Supposedly he only got the job because he's the rear admiral's nephew.
Alright. Keeping it on the DL, I got you. Okay, so there's nothing over here. Cool. Alright. Doors unlocked. And now we're at the front of the ship. Excellent. So there were still some places inside that we could have gone that we hadn't yet, but let's take a look around. One of these I know has a great ball in it. I remember those from my days on the SS Anne. It's a joke for all you Gen 1ers out there. Keep carrying that torch.
The cardboard box is full of stuff you took from your boat from before it sank. A crate from your boat. It's full of reeking fish.
Ah, those reek. How does one reek?
Don't shower for a while.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Petter watches listlessly.
What if you watched with list, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
If we do withdraw from NATO, what then?
What do you mean?
I'm not one of those mad types who thinks they're going to send missiles, but Iceland is strategic ground. We kick out the Americans, we pull out of NATO, then we're just a lone chicken surrounded by wolves. Even in the case where the Soviet Union doesn't move in, the United States might try something. It won't be an all-out war. We don't have the resources for that, but it still won't be good. Petter just stares outwards.
So I'm gonna just try to remember trying to recite all I remember about the Cod Wars.
Yeah.
So there is a tiny bit of land north of Iceland that only barely pokes above the surface. Mm-hmm. And Iceland claims it. And countries' fishing rights and economic exclusive zones in the oceans are determined by where they own land. So if you own land, then you get 200 kilometers outwards from that land. So owning even a tiny, useless piece of rock that isn't going to be helpful to anyone, as long as it's above the water, and you claim that land, means that you get the exclusive economic zone around that land. Which means a tiny little rock suddenly has a, 200... Again, I don't remember what the number is, but 200 kilometer radius circle around it where you get to fish.
For some reason, I had thought those laws came about because of, or in some ways related to...
Am I misremembering the Cod Wars?
That said, what I remember is it happened a couple times, right?
Oh!
So it wasn't just...
Am I remembering a different iteration of it?
I don't know. I know very little about UK Icelandic foreign relations and their history. I just remember that it came up and we read the Wikipedia article.
I watched a Tom Scott video on it once, therefore I know everything.
I see. Anyway.
No, in episode 10 Cod Wars, the agreement that was reached in 1976 was called the Third Cod War.
Mm-hmm. So that's after this point.
The final and 10th Cod War in long-term history. Jeez, alright. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about then. Ignore me. What do you have to say for yourself?
Olvir used to smoke inside the engine room, until he was warned by Haldor of the dangers of working with flammable liquids.
Nah. What are you staring at?
I'm just getting some fresh air is all.
Ugh, it's fine. I'm just annoyed is all.
What's wrong?
Apparently, even the fuckhead student officers get paid more than we do in engineering. Spent my life studying as a tradesman only to find some people get an easy ride just because they went to the right school.
I guess it doesn't surprise me at this point.
Elder said it was like it was common knowledge, but I was always told to never discuss pay with my workmates.
Well, don't you know? If you don't discuss pay, no one will know they're being underpaid. This is just a ploy from the bosses to suppress wages.
I think of all audiences, we can trust our audience to pick up on that, right?
Yeah.
Right? I feel like we've done a decent job cultivating our audience well, and if we've done our job right, then our audience should be able to be like, no, that's a red flag.
Anyway, can't imagine why.
Not gonna let us smoke, huh? Alright. So this is... Let me just get our bearings here.
You have no reason to go to the engine room. Haldor is working downstairs.
Okay, cool. So I got our bearings now. Let's talk to some folks. Hello?
Clara is the ship's radio technician. She has a direct line to the PM, and she was supposedly appointed to the ship by Cabinet directly.
Not a spy, by the way.
A spy?
Yeah, a lot of the crew think I'm a spy. I'm not. Don't worry about it.
I didn't think you were, but now I'm concerned.
Well, damn it. That had the opposite of my intended effect. Well, don't be. They just think because I'm from the government, I must be some kind of secret agent. I've been watching too much James Bond movies.
I see.
Anyway, I know Captain Gudmundur is looking for these, so you should probably pass them on. A 9-volt PP3.
She hands you a 9-volt PP3 battery.
So we gotta hand this to the captain, huh? Alright. Do you remember where the captain was?
No. But I wonder if the captain is next to the helmsman.
Maybe. Who does not turn to look at us.
Yeah, we hadn't met the captain yet. Captain Gudmundur is a man in his 30s. Currently, he is stretching his legs.
Really don't love the way you're always roaming around, skip rope.
That's not my name.
The crew is currently on the lookout for British ships, and you wandering around like a lost cat isn't helping. But if you want to make yourself useful, skip rope. Could gather up some batteries. PP3 ones. We use them for our smoke alarms, but crew keeps emptying them into the RUV on their wirelesses.
You currently have one.
Oh, so we gotta go talk to our people? So we can't go up there. Okay. Well, I remember seeing some batteries in the fridge.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Battery. Do. That's 2. I guess we gotta go talk to people again, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, let's go see if anything is different now.
Or can we go downstairs now?
No, I think we're gonna have to have reason to do that. I take the battery out of this radio. Just straight up do it.
Yup. Yeet.
Yeet. Did it to him.
Ha.
4. I have no reason to go up there. Don't worry about it. I wonder if we can find one more. Let's start re-talking to people, see if that changes anything.
Doesn't seem to, huh? Did someone toss one into the crate? Hey! That's it.
There it is. I'm so good at finding batteries.
Run!
Esports 420 speed runs. Got him.
You give the captain the batteries.
Thanks for the help. Fire's unlikely, but still a worst case scenario. Imagine the international disaster it'd be if we had to be rescued by a British ship.
You hear a call come from above.
7 ships ahead, including 1 frigate. The damn Royal Navy is still here. Contacting the rear admiral.
Should we approach?
We approach, but we don't fire. Our goal is to provoke, but not to engage.
The captain relays his orders over the loudophone.
The goal is to provoke, but not engage.
This day would have the only casualty of the Cod Wars.
Oh, Skipper, go and see if Isaac the gunner is awake.
Wait, why me?
Because my assistant is ill and you're standing here. Won't be making much of a presence if the guns aren't manned.
The gunner is downstairs, but you could also speak to the others first.
Okay. I think we've spoken to everyone, that was the thing. Oh.
Clara turns from the radio to look at you.
Sorry, I'm really busy trying to get in touch with the Rear Admiral, but getting bumped around. First time working with the ICG and this happens. Fuck my life. I feel you. Alright, well, let's go talk to folks again, see if they... Since some of them have new dialogue now.
Shouldn't you be in the lower deck?
I'm good. These shouting matches aren't anything serious, and I've done my jobs for the shift. I'm gonna spend some time stretching my legs and yelling at these English puddings. I like you, Oliver.
Peter looks concerned.
Oh.
What's wrong?
Remember hearing in school the idea that the arms race was supposed to make war impossible. But here we are. We and the British, both allies, bringing guns to each other.
The papers call it a war, but nobody has actually been killed. Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. Didn't you read the name of the game? Besides, there's other wars happening in Israel, South Africa, plus that thing that happened in Uganda. Seems like a lot of that's changed with the mutually assured destruction is where the wars are happening.
I like Peter.
Me too. I like everyone on this boat. They all seem vaguely leftist, and I'm cool with it.
I don't know. Not one of the guys from this thing. I thought you supported Olafur.
He gave a big talk about securing our fishing rights, but as PM, he's still trying to get Americans to help. He's never going to go after Britain directly.
I fear we're not going to fare well in a hot war with Britain.
It's because you won't have your Beatles and your Bowie. Listen to Billy Bill some more. Be a real man.
We just don't have the manpower or firepower to fight them. NATO is...
Manpower? What we need is strategy, blockades, ambushes.
We need to go through the proper channels. The Americans might support us this time at the UN.
In the meantime, we should let our hard-working fishermen starve.
That's just market forces. They should move to expanding industries like electronics. Learn to code, bro.
Just sell your house and move. That is not real advice.
Yeah,
Again, that's an illusion I'm hoping our audience picks up on. Iceland is a country of fish and sheep, not one of electronics.
If they won't move to a new trade, that's on them being lazy.
I don't like you, John. Fishermen are many things, but I will not have them called lazy.
Inga takes some deep breaths to calm himself.
Never gotten this used to fighting.
You mean these skirmishes?
My uncle served in the Navy under the Nazi Kiesling government. He would still talk proudly and defend his service, saying he has still served to protect Norway. I never understood why he would defend something so reprehensible until now. In the ships I've cooked, there's often talk of loyalty and service. I can see that people in the right circumstances would use these terms to justify the cruelest acts. Yeah, I feel you. Is this the gunner who's sleeping over here?
I can't remember. Ha! Sifjadr is awake, but pretends to be sleeping still. That's not the gunner. The gunner's the other hammock.
Alright, cool. Let's go talk to some folks.
Epson gives a weary sigh.
Never had a proper civvy on board during these engagements before.
Are they dangerous?
No. Probably just involve a lot of shouting. Once you're on the shore, you'll probably end up seeing someone from the Ministry of the Fisheries with PM's office.
Sounds exciting.
They'll want to make sure you're not leaking any state secrets, as if there's something to leak. So we can't go in there, we can't go down here yet. Okay, let's go wake the gunner. Wait, did we talk to the person on the front ship? Yeah, we did.
Did we? Dorothy looks wearily over at the British flotilla. Flotilla?
No. Stop this. That sounds tasty, though.
Is it unsafe to be out here?
Could ask you the same question. Besides, I was here during the last engagement with the Royal Navy. We usually just swear at each other a lot. The ramming starts when we head inside. Alright, Gunner. Time to get up.
You wake up Isaac, the gunner. In the end, the gun wouldn't be fired during this specific engagement. The Eiger employed net cutters against the British trawlers.
They have net cutters? Is that like an ancient version of net running?
Yes.
Excellent.
At some point, the British frigate collided with the Eiger. The hull was breached by the impact. The engineers attempted to weld the gap as the hull was being flooded, but Halldor Halfredson was electrocuted to death.
Are we going to go find him now? Is that what we're doing? That's a big crack in the hull.
You ring the bell. Iceland threatened to leave NATO and end the US military presence at Klefkavik due to the increased fishing incursions. Tensions increased again in 1976 with similar threats, but this time Iceland also cut ties with the UK. This pushed them to sign a NATO-brokered treaty that guaranteed territoriality. A lot of British fishers lost their jobs as a result due to the nature of the industry. The impacts would yet be minor compared to the later steel industry collapse. The US military ended up leaving Klefkavik in 2011 because maintaining a global empire is surprisingly expensive.
Who knew?
The Cold War is over, but imperialism and its legacies continue. End.
That was a delightful little game.
I told you we had to play the fishy game.
I'm glad we did. I don't think I've ever played a game before that could truly be called, like, historical nonfiction.
Yeah, I don't think I've played a video game that is that.
Yeah, this seems as close as
Although,
anything.
actually, I guess it depends on what counts as nonfiction. Because I play map game.
You do play map game.
Europa Universalis. So depending on how close you stick to actual historical events, it might be historical nonfiction.
True. Oh, that's a delightful way to start this off. Let's see what else we got.
Yeah.
Found a new disc. This one's from before they knew about the... Let's see if you can get it running.
Boot game. Let's play a game about boots.
I like boot game. How do I... Is this a mouse thing? Oh, I got a mouse. Okay, cool. Boot. Accessing boots. You now have a boot. Oh, it scrolled. Okay. Accessing user's disk. Running from slot 1. Running eggs game.
Yay.
Egg. Woo! What a wonder. Invalid byte count. Easter egg hunt. Version 0.4, a text adventure game.
And text adventures in quotes.
Copyright 19... That seems suspicious. I don't know if I believe that. Copyright 1982 by Tacoma Sensoft, made in blue. Time for an egg-citing adventure. Beginning a new game or no? Let's do a new game.
Okay.
Can we load a game if there's no game to load?
Let's try.
Unable to load. Okay, fine. It is a lovely day. You're out doing an Easter egg hunt. You're at the grassy clearing. A few trees are around. Other children are running around, though it looks like most of the eggs are taken. You have found 3 eggs thus far. Possible exits are north, east, and south. We have many. Eat our eggs.
Snack time.
Do we want to drop a hot save?
Yeah.
At the this is the first screen. Never mind. I don't care. Hot saving. Let's look.
It's a lovely day.
Oh, okay. Talk.
Nobody else will talk to you. That's gonna be so frustrating the way it's all on the edge of the screen where our monitor doesn't show. Luckily, I can read letters from only the top 1/3.
You're impressive.
The other children ignore you.
Oh, can we fight them?
Nobody to fight.
Oh, okay. Let's eat eggs.
You feel sick. Why are you doing this?
Oh no, those are carob eggs, the crappy little tiny ones without any actual cocoa in it. You have died. Carob makes you fucking die. Yep. Okay, can we take eggs?
What? It had made us go south.
Okay. You are a nasty grove full of feral deer. Some say that deer eggs are lucky. Deer eggs, huh? Okay. Possible exits are north. Can I look?
The deer do not like you.
Okay, can we talk?
Deer speak only the forbidden language.
Oh no, can I give?
There's nobody around.
Okay, can we fight?
Nobody to fight.
Okay.
What if we take eggs? You take the deer eggs. Deer eggs are endangered. You collect 2 of them in your school bag. Wait, you were reading this.
I think you're doing a fine job. Return or lick. Why is it pulsating? You want to lick that?
Yeah. It tastes like grapefruit.
Oh no, you shouldn't have done that. Your puny body cannot contain the energy within you have died.
Yes.
Wow, okay. This is the kind of thing we're doing, huh?
Apparently.
Alright. So, take eggs. Return. Okay, let's go back up, huh?
Yeah. You go north.
I want to try going east this time?
Sure.
You're in the forest. An egg witch is here.
The egg witch seems friendly.
Hi, egg witch.
She asks for 8 eggs.
I don't have that many. We have 5. Okay. We'll come back when we have more. Let's go north. You're at the egg hive. This is where most eggs come from. There are wasps here. I want to look at the wasps.
This is not a place you should be. The wasps do not speak your tongue.
Okay. Can I take eggs?
The wasps sting you, so you something.
Yeah, okay. Well, we are not getting any more eggs here. Let's take some more eggs.
No eggs left.
What are we meant to do?
Can we go in other directions other than the exits? No.
There isn't a south. Yep, okay.
Do we have to go north and fight the wasps?
Let's go fight the wasps. Fight.
You fight the wasps.
The wasps do not move anymore. Yes!
Take those eggs. You take the wasp eggs.
Wasp eggs are the purest of all eggs. They have a softer texture and a sweeter taste. Collect 4 of them in your school bag. We now have 9! Yes!
Let's go talk to the egg witch.
Alright. We'll go talk to the egg witch! Egg witch!
She asks for 8 eggs.
Give. You give the eggs to the egg witch. She is very grateful. It gives you the specialist egg of all, the human heart. This is a selection of options. All right. Let's examine that.
It palpitates regularly.
How are you so good at that? Smell it.
It smells of the void.
And swallow that shit.
You swallow the egg.
It beats in a steady motion. You realize it is your own heart. You are alive again. Be reborn. So, what'd you think? I didn't even come out when I made this one. Brings back a lot of mixed memories.
Shit, really? Didn't find anything on the by the way.
Yeah, it was a long shot anyway. We didn't know anything about it at the time. Hope you're doing okay.
Bart.
What a weird game.
I wonder if it'll become clearer when we do the rest in the series.
Maybe. Strange.
Immediately following this one.
Strange game. It's strange is the word I would use to describe it. I don't know why out of idle words, but that's the one that comes to mind. Yeah, definitely. Alright, no longer content with only eating eggs, we will now eat the sun.
Let's go.
First, I gotta put it in my boot.
Unpacking sun.bat.
Oh, okay. I didn't do that, it just happened. Your dreams have gotten too real, and you have dreamed of the sun.
Eat
Health
sun.
8. Eat.
It is not time yet.
It is not time yet. First, you should set your affairs in order. Ooh. Let's pay rent.
You have no money.
Oh, well, fuck. Call mom.
She doesn't pick up.
Well, shit. Your affairs are in order. All is well. Health irrelevant. Last task.
Most adults have 32 teeth.
You must pull out your teeth so the sun will fit. Health irrelevant. Teeth 32. What the fuck is this?
Well, let's get to pollen. One less tooth.
Okay. All right. Seems...
Health irrelevant. What if you keep going? No teeth.
All right. Eat the sun.
It tastes like hydrogen.
You become the new sun. Health bright.
Exist.
It's warm.
It has been established that persons who have
What the Hold on.
I feel like we missed stuff on the first screen.
There were other options. Hold
Yeah.
on. Let me do some high-tech finagling here. And by that I mean reload the page hold on. Eat the sun. Eat it.
it has been established
Ha!
persons who have recently died
Ha!
I left. I reloaded the game page, and we're still just the sun now.
Well, that's fine.
Great. I, for one, am very happy to now be the sun.
Yeah, me too.
I do not want to turn on caret browsing, but thank you for asking me. Don't ask me again, though.
Carrot browsing high in vitamin A.
This is strange. Strange little game that we can apparently never play again.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's just a one and done scenario. So, thank you for coming. I am now mostly hydrogen. That might have been true before. This game contains a pulsing image which would potentially cause discomfort or seizures. If you may be prone, select animation. Turn that animation on. You will not deny me my unsettling pulsating images.
However, warning to everyone watching, that's the thing.
Pulsating images will be ahead. Hey.
Oh.
Go for it. Yeah.
Hey, you've been kind of quiet lately. Are you okay? You've been quiet ever since I sent you that last package.
Why is it a spatula now?
Huh?
Boot, accessing user's disk running from slot 1, running cook.o. Would you like to cook? Version 1.0, a text adventure game, copyright 1983, Tacoma Sensoft. Okay, so now we're moving forward in the... I can't. New game.
Hello, player. Would you like to cook?
I'm good.
Yes, you would. It is wonderful to cook.
Oh, okay.
It distracts you from other things. What would you like to cook?
Okay, I didn't realize we were just... Okay.
But thou must.
But thou must cook. Okay. What are we feeling today?
Breakfast.
Breakfast? Breakfast for every meal.
Breakfast. The most important meal of the day. And at 8 p.m. What ingredient would you like to use?
Meat.
Okay. You slice the meat. The distinction between red and white meat is arbitrary, but it is based on the myoglobin count. All animals contain some form of meat.
All of them.
All of them.
Including you, dear listener.
You fry the meat in the saucepan. It hurts, but you know no words for the hurt, so you pretend it doesn't.
What?
What ingredient would you like to add?
What meat?
Flour, sugar, or face?
What meat are we cooking? Croach, did you make that meat? Oh, God. What do you want to add?
Face. You combine the face with the meat.
No, I need you to read the first line out. I think you mean colon left angle bracket, left square bracket, small z 4, right facing carrot, add. You combine your face with the meat.
The face.
The face with the meat. It's not our face, it's the face. Face pizza! I've always wanted to make face pizza!
It hurts and it will continue to hurt. Maybe if you could figure out the name, you may be able to discuss it with others. It's time to prepare your meal.
Prepare.
You serve up the meal. You have made recipe number 9, face meat. What was once living tissue lives once more, but the scowling face is not one that wishes to be alive.
Hello?
You speak with the face meat. It names things as it speaks, granting you a name for your hurt. It still hurts sometimes, but you can deal with it better.
What?
Let's try cooking some more. Cooking is so fun.
I do.
Fun.
I'm gonna keep that animation on. Yeah, we're keeping that animation on, yo. Directory damaged?
What?
What?
Yeah, same as last time. Let's like to cook.
Yes, I do like to cook.
Same. Okay, let's try lunch.
I am ready for some blunch.
It's the same. Let's try egg.
Woo!
You crack the eggs into a saucepan. Eggs are organic shells containing zygotes. Some eggs are safe to eat, others are not.
We've had an object lesson in this pretty recently.
Yeah?
Like deer eggs. Careful with those.
You fry the eggs in the saucepan. It hurts, but you know no words for the hurts. You pretend it doesn't. What ingredient would you like to add?
Let's add flour.
Flour is usually made from grainy seeds, but can also be made from fruits and nuts. Moths love to lay their eggs in flour. You mix the flour into the eggs.
Okay, but not this flour.
Maybe. We don't know what kind of egg it was.
Well, it's going in with the other eggs. So it's probably fine.
Let's prepare. You serve up the meal. You have made recipe number 1. Egg dosa.
Nice.
Perfect for any meal, though the use of flour is controversial.
Aw. Yay, we made egg dosa.
You eat your egg dosa for lunch. It tastes delicious. Sometime later you discover a name for the hurt. It still hurts sometimes, but you're able to manage it.
We'll try one more with a dinner. Oh god, why is this necessary?
We did get the choice to turn it off.
Yeah, but like... No, you misunderstand me. It's necessary.
But why?
And I want to know why it is that it
Okay.
is necessary. Because I understand that it's necessary, but I don't understand why it is necessary. I'm good. Yeah, I want to cook. Fuck me up,
Okay.
chef.
You pick this time.
Dinner.
You pick.
I'm picking. Pass me the butter.
Okay. You melt the butter into a saucepan. Butter is made by extracting milk fats from the buttermilk. In contrast, margarine uses vegetable oils thinned with water.
Good to know.
You fry the butter in the saucepan. It hurts, but you know no words for the hurt, etc., etc.
Okay, let's put some sugar in that butter. Sugar butter.
The process of refining sugar involves adding phosphoric acid onto the grains and spun on a centrifuge to strip away the molasses, revealing the tiny crystals within. You add the sugar to the butter.
Let's wait. It still hurts.
Yeah?
Everything hurts. Who knew?
You serve up the meal. You have made recipe number 5, butterscotch. This recipe was popularized in Yorkshire in the 1800s because there wasn't anything good to eat. You eat your butterscotch for dinner. It tastes delicious, etc. I kind of want to put a face on another thing that's not the meat and see what happens.
Okay, what do you want to put the face on?
Oh, fruit.
Fruit? Okay.
Is it just me, or does this just keep the mic
I think
just
I
keep going
understand
to
why
the
it
left?
is, so we can fix it afterwards.
Okay.
It's gonna be the weirdest oral sensation to on the recording.
As I keep slowly getting more distant and then louder.
All right, so what do you want to put the face on?
Fruit.
For dinner or lunch?
Fruit gummy. Lunch, fruit gummy.
Fruit gummy. Okay.
You cut up the fruit. Many people disagree on the definition of fruits. Botanically, tomatoes are fruits, whereas cactus fruits are not.
Great. That is the
Cooking
best
is
kind of
so
definition.
fun. Cooking
Face
is so
fruit.
fun. You combine the face with the fruit.
Oh, get on in there.
Prepare. These are from the meal. You've made recipe number 12. Face fruit. A something that once haunted Giuseppe Archimboldo now stares at you with a look of hunger and anger.
Okay. Hello?
You speak with the face fruit. It names things as it speaks, granting you a name for your hurt. Still hurts sometimes, but you can deal with it better.
Is there a metaphor here?
I don't know.
Or is it just...
This is wonderful.
This is...
Face fruit.
You are very into this for someone who was just introduced to the concept not 5 minutes ago.
Face fruit.
Okay.
Face fruit.
I'm moving you away from the face fruit now.
Tell everybody talk about the face fruit in the comments.
Close to Nothing, a romance and horror by Rana Strange. There is nothing. Nothing here.
Yeah, we're quite close to it. That's the nothing.
That's it, right? I bet
Looks suspiciously like trees.
But it turns out it's nothing.
Yeah.
There was an old woman, lived under a hill, and if she'd bent gone, she lives there still. 3 eyes. Who is 3 eyes? Hello? Oh, and it's reddish now. It's pulsing reddish. That's pleasant. 3 eyes watches over the town, as she always does. The entropy continues as usual. The sun rises once more, and the memorials to history not worth remembering have their mossy words illuminated for nobody to read them. It is a perfect day. You know you've been kind of distant lately. Red sighs, scratching their side shave.
It's just an assignment I've got to do, Mike. English lit. Fuck that class.
They slide their cards off the cafe table into their hand, take a quick glance, and then turn to me.
Wait, who's talking? I'll buy your dreadnought for 5 yttrium.
No, they don't print Dreadnought anymore. I acquiesce, flicking over a token with a picture of a starship across. I don't care much for Euro games, and Red and Ashan are more likely to win at this point. Red and I had generally gotten along well. I've been going to the university. I've been going to the uni's board game group for 2 months now. They never really had a proper name for it, although it was listed in the What's On booklet in the Learning Commons as the Board Game Club. It apparently had a falling out with the D&D group a year ago, though 2 of the guys still often went to both. Currently, we're set up in one of the 2 university cafes. Coffee's decent, but the food options are limited unless you like spongy muffins. And I do like spongy muffins. Either way, it suits better than the library. Selena, the youngest of the regular group, rolls the die before cursing her terrible luck, collecting some tokens and placing some construction tiles.
Yeah, I think I pretty much lost this.
I like how you can tell what games they're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it's been a while since I played Catan. Ashan, who brought the game today, shrugs. He carefully takes his turn whilst humming, as Mike asks if he can speak to me for a moment. We step aside to the next table over, which is clear aside from a small coffee rim stain.
Wait.
I'm a little worried, Lim. I'd figure you'd know best. Mike looks serious.
What's wrong?
I didn't want to press it, but I'm a little worried about Red, their history and all. Red had somewhat of a history with self-harm and suicide ideation, though I didn't really discuss it with them much. I have my own history with that, and I guess that stuff never really came up in conversation with them. I'm torn, because I'd be worried as well, but also it's not like, you don't pry, but like, I don't know, what are you feeling?
I don't know. I have no idea what these people's relationships with one another are, so I don't know.
Okay.
I'm worried too.
I definitely noticed they seemed stressed out about a week ago. Although I had thought at the time it was because of a teacher that had misgendered them. Maybe that's part of it, but even after I offered to speak to somebody about it, they insisted they were fine. I couldn't help but notice they were wearing a long-sleeve shirt today, as well. Probably nothing, but they did have some mostly faded scars from cutting on their sleeves.
You don't think they're,
Yeah, I just don't feel good to bring it up. He absentmindedly runs his index finger across the coffee stain, breaking the perfect circle. You know them better than me anyway. I'd only known them for about 6 or 7 months, but it was probably true.
Sure.
Mike was one of the co-founders of this group and was generally quite concerned with everyone's well-being, though some of his friends really could be a handful sometimes. That's going to be a different character.
Liv?
I swivel across my seat to see Ashan calling us over. It's my turn. We return to the table. myself wondering if Red knows we're talking about them. They glance in my direction as I sit down. I roll the die, focusing on the game to try to avoid giving anything away. Planning construction tiles, even glancing at the rulebook to figure out what one specific token does. I then turn to see Selena distract from the conversation just before. So. Oh, that's you again.
So, how's classes going?
You're going to talk to yourself for a bit.
Alright. Comp sci has gotten a lot harder lately. Oh, huh.
Well, that was a productive conversation. Well done, me. Mike takes the die from the corner of the table and begins his turn. Ishan continues the conversation, making it slightly less awkward.
The new professor is really strict on deadlines. Says it doesn't matter if you're sick.
Do you want me to take one of these other characters as well, so we're like 2 and 2?
I don't know. I can't tell who's talking, so I don't know that it will help.
How about I take Mike and the POV character?
Okay.
Cool. Mike gives a sheepish grin. Actually, I'm feeling kind of lucky I dropped that one. Small mercies. He makes a trade with Selena before handing the custom die to Red, who had been quiet throughout the conversation. The next few turns pass rather uneventfully until Ishan finally gathers enough points to win. He means that he had been strategizing a lot before he'd actually had an opportunity to play. As he starts packing up the game, Mike explains that he should probably start heading out to class soon. Apparently it starts in about 20 minutes, and even if the film theory teacher is less strict on deadlines, he doesn't want to be late. Same time next week?
Of course.
Ishan meticulously places the tokens in their respective slots in the box as Mike heads out to class. The others follow suit. Eventually, I find myself alone with Red. Oh, the background's red because their name is red. I get it. I got it. Eventually, I find myself alone with Red. My worry is that it's something to do with me. I met Red about 6 or 7 months ago in typography class. I'd only taken because it didn't interfere with any of my others. They were about my height, but had dyed short, bright red hair, hence the name, or perhaps because of it. They still dye it now, of course, but in sort of a deeper red, apparently easier to upkeep. A couple of weeks ago, they said they liked me. I mean, I wasn't really entirely sure how they meant it, so I managed to say it was a shy thanks. I like them too, but I've been too afraid to ask them about it. We'd only met up on a couple of occasions in the time since. It might be silly to wonder if it's whatever it is my fault, but I can't help but worry. Right now, they sit at the table at the seat to my right. I ponder on how I should ask them what's up.
Good question.
How you been?
Sure.
So, how you been? I wait for a few seconds before continuing. Like, mental health-wise, you doing alright?
I know what this is about, and I figure I should tell someone. Might as well be you.
They grasp her upper arm with their opposite hand. I try to give an understanding look.
I just worry it could freak you out.
I've heard a lot of shit before, trust me.
Fine, but we should go somewhere quiet. It's about
They pause as if attempting to phrase it.
a scar.
What fresh body horror have you inflicted upon yourself? Not the cutting, it seems like it's the setup for...
Yeah, it'll be something other than cutting.
Which, I'm a fan of making it seem like it's one thing and turning it out it's another. I follow them out of the cafe, wondering what they must mean by a scar. The area around the cafe is crowded, given that it's the early afternoon, so we head in the direction of one of the less used corridors.
So, I don't know how to start. This isn't something, spooky.
Define spooky.
Body horror, I guess? Like, you remember all those trypophobia shock images that are photoshopped with lamprey mouths or some shit? It's like that.
Oh. So, wait, like a hole?
Holes.
Their hand rubs their arm and chest as if out of a nervous reflex. I looked at the striped fabric as they removed their hand, shuddering to imagine what's underneath. So, they're there.
Yeah.
They take a deep breath. How does one go about getting holes? They pause.
That's harder to explain. I know the why, but not the how, or maybe it's the other way around.
What do you mean? This is getting confusing. We continue down the corridor.
They just sort of showed up.
They seem to look sad.
I guess you wouldn't believe me unless I show you.
Why wouldn't I believe you? Why wouldn't I believe you?
It's weird, trust me, like supernatural weird.
I've certainly seen some strange things in my time, but nothing like whatever these holes are. They continue.
If you'd believed me, I'd think you were either lying or high. Best just to show you.
I wordlessly nod. They move their hand to gently pluck the hem of their collar.
I just want to check if you're okay with seeing it. I don't want to freak you out.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I couldn't give any other answer. I don't know if it's because of curiosity or because I wanted to give them my support, but my response was almost involuntary. They look around to check if anyone else is nearby before raising the hem. You ready? Oh, that's you, sorry.
You ready?
I'm ready!
I'm not ready anymore.
Alright, sorry, now I'm ready. I had to have my lukewarm coffee first so I could get ready for a spit take, you know? They lower their collar, revealing the flesh that lies underneath. No skin condition I know looks like this. Each hole is just under a centimeter in width, but they seem to go into the skin, forming these large, round pores where muscle should be. The insides appear darker, but still lined with skin, or at least what appears to be skin? There has to be at least 100 of these gaps spread around their chest and continuing down their left arm, disappearing behind the shirt. I involuntarily shiver. They release their shirt, and the stretchy fabric conceals the giant pores.
I try not to look at it. It freaks me out when I see it.
I don't know if we're on hugging terms.
Yeah, I don't know.
How long have they been there? Remember them wearing a shirt that showed off more of their chested area a couple weeks ago.
23rd. Last month.
Very exact to the date, apparently. Count backwards in my head, and that's exactly 17 days ago.
It started small. At first it was only 6 holes, but they've been spreading.
How did it start, anyway? These holes did seem strange. Whatever Junji Ito shit is going on, I want to know.
You know how I live on my own.
I nod. They live in a rented property on the other side of the river. I've never been there, but pretty much everyone else either lived in a student housing, a share house, or even a backpacker's lodge.
I used to live with my family. My mother and father. We were in this kind of, well, it was a cult, I guess.
Alright, just dropping revelations on us. Okay, buddy. I find it hard to conceal my surprise at this revelation. I had, as far as I know, never met anyone from a cult before. Seriously?
Yeah.
They start to move on as someone else starts walking down the corridor.
It wasn't like religious, or at least it was sort of different. Some of the members even had their own religious views separate from the church.
Oh, that's still you.
My parents were both members. I grew up in it. Was taught about this sort of dualistic nature to everything. Where there's this sort of inverse world, where there's another version of you who feels joy and sadness completely opposite to you.
Huh. Do you believe in it? Well, inverse me must be having a fucking riotous time right now, let me tell you.
I don't know what to believe, honestly. Sometimes it helps, when I'm feeling bad, really fucking awful, to think there's another version of myself that's happy. Makes me feel like things are still worth living for. I can live for them.
I nod. Never really thought about that much before.
But I've also seen some other strange things. There's a whole lot more going on.
They try to find the words as we both head outside to the chilly air.
I grew up here, in the city. My parents met in the church. It's called the Church of the Bent Woman. It's up in the west and shows up on Google Maps as English Chapel. It's pretty small. There's this clay sculpture of the bent woman on the pulpit, though I was never told why it was called that. There's nothing about her that looks bent or injured. I did go to Croatian primary school, and I did make a couple of friends growing up, but I was told I would get in trouble if I talked too much about the church. There were no other kids in the church my age, so I never felt there was anyone I could open up to. I still got books and shit and watched television, but that's not really the same.
I'm so sorry, I never knew.
Don't be. It is what it is, I guess.
They light a cigarette.
The cigarette smoke comes out of all the holes.
No!
When it came to high school, I only went the first year, then was pulled out to study to be an acolyte. I did have the internet, though, so I was still able to talk to people, but I fell out of touch with my friends from school.
I guess I can relate to that part. I only have a handful of friends left from school, and I rarely get to talk to them, especially since moving here to study. Did you miss them? I ask.
I barely knew them. I feel like they wouldn't have accepted the real me anyway.
We decide to continue the conversation in a nearby bistro. It's getting a little cold, and we haven't had lunch, though Red insists that they're not hungry. Let's still order something to share, just in case.
Yeah.
I order a bowl of chips to share nonetheless. They order a spritzer. We find a quiet place to sit, and they continue their story. Red first witnessed the unknown several years before today. It was a Belliferous day. They were 26 of age and had just been made an acolyte in the church. It involved years of studying old books written on metaphysics and philosophy. Red didn't entirely believe a lot of the stuff the church taught, but they were mostly accepted by the others, and that at that stage, that was enough. There were about 20 or 30 other people in the church, though only a few were ordained. Of the latter, aside from Red themselves, were Red's mother, an aspirant, Bill and Ruby, both acolytes, and Minister Lucan. The head of the church, Red was taught, was the bent woman, who Lucan insisted was a real person, although normally only the ministers permitted to see her. Red was returning from a grocery store trip late in the evening. Being an acolyte didn't just involve lighting candles and other things related to rites, but also day-to-day maintenance and supplies. They were carrying 3 very full bags on the road when they spotted an old man they didn't recognize standing awkwardly at the front.
Is the bent woman in?
He asked in a very coarse voice. Red turned to face him. The man was very tall, well over 6 feet. He wore a worn coat that looked to be covered in mustard stains. From the streetlights, they could see that one of his eyes was milky white, the other a faded blue. Red explained that they wouldn't be holding a sermon today, although Minister Lucan was in if he had urgent business, and that the door was probably unlocked. The man gave what looked like a painful smile.
Thank you kindly.
As he spoke, they could see what looked like something metal in his mouth. They headed inside the nearby church house to unload the groceries. They fumbled with the keys to unlock the door. They noticed the man entered the church proper. They put their curiosity over who the man was aside as they began to stock up the fridge with perishables. Red was heading inside the church to tell Minister Lucan that they were done, but they heard muffled voices coming from inside the vestry. They decided to wait it out as they weren't supposed to interrupt private conversations, but suddenly they heard shouting.
Rat bastard.
It sounded like the stranger. They then heard the sound of a thud before a sudden piercing bang. They'd never heard a gun discharged before in real life, but the sound was unmistakable, and Red knew the minister had kept a revolver inside a small safe in the room. They took only a moment's hesitation before they decided to open the door, as they heard a groan of pain. As they opened, Red saw an image that would stick with them for a long time yet. Minister Lucan was kneeling on the floor towards the door, the tall man pinning him down with his massive body. The strange man's mouth was agape, and change appeared to be spewing out. The looped, rusty chains ensnared the minister's body, but were moving, oscillating, sawing into his flesh. Lucan turned to Red, but did not manage to call out anything coherent under his screams of agony. The stranger did not seem to pay any attention to Red, and his head seemed to jerk uncontrollably as the chains continued cutting into the minister. Red did not have time to search for the gun, and instead fled towards the house to where their mother and Bill were. They barged in on their parent and Pierre and explained the situation in a hurry, mentioning the minister was attacked by a strange man with a chain, not quite being able to describe how the chain itself moved. Their mother told them to stay safe inside the house, but to watch the situation from the window. Red knew things were going to get bad, but they kept freezing up whenever they thought about following them into the church. Eventually, they heard another gunshot, prompting them to hurry back inside. They were worried and didn't want anyone to die. Oh, I scrolled too far. I'm sorry.
And you can't scroll back up?
There we go. They were worried and they didn't want anyone to die, though they knew in the back of their mind that it was probably too late for something so optimistic. They pushed open the side door and saw a horrible scene. Chains were strewn around the nave like party streamers, and there were several splatters of blood. Their mother was bent against one of the pews, bleeding heavily from her arm. The gun was in the middle of the nave, in a pool of blood. "He's gone," they heard their mother say in between pained noises and strained expletives. Bill elaborated the stranger had fled into the streets, injured but warned not to follow him. Red's mother was missing half of her hand, and Bill asked Red to check on her while he went to grab some medical supplies from the bathroom. Calling an ambulance was out of the question, apparently. She had her jacket wrapped around her hand as an impromptu bandage. Minister Lucan.
Is he okay?
Red tried to sit down next to her on the pew, checking on the bleeding. He's dead. The minister was apparently barely alive when she'd arrived. He'd bled out as the stranger sawed into his rib cage, and the man, or creature, continued even as the fight with him broke out. As Bill came back to bandage her up, Red asked about the man. None of them had met him before, although Bill suspected it was someone the minister referred to on occasion, called the Unbound, a figure who supposedly tortures the torturers. Lucan had never met him either, but said he was very dangerous. He wasn't entirely human, though he may have been once. Bill still had no idea why he'd attacked Minister Lucan, however.
Please.
I would love it if my mouse would cooperate. The police arrived half an hour later, inquiring about the gunshots, but Bill managed to convince them that he didn't know anything about it, suggesting that it was probably sport shooters. The police didn't ask to search the church itself, thankfully. Red's mother was recovering in the bedroom at the time, having lost most of her fingers on her right hand. Minister Lucan was given a discreet burial in an unmarked grave partway up the mountain. Red felt partly to blame, although the others apparently didn't seem to fault them for it. Red's mother was made the new minister, with Ruby taking on her role as aspirant, although she grew more distant from Red as a result. The newly adorned minister moved into the church house with Red and her husband. Red left the church a year later. They'd struggled with depression before, but lately had been hitting especially bad. They were told by their mother not to contact her or any of the others again, unless they were ready to return to the church of the bent woman.
I moved into our family's old place. They'd set up a bank account for me, and there'd be a weekly transfer of $500 every week.
But what does that have to do with the holes?
A couple of weeks ago, I got an envelope addressed to me in the letterbox. It was apparently from the House of Nefer. Nefer is a concept discussed in the textbooks I studied a lot. I imagine it was someone from the church. After I opened it, there was only an old black and white photograph of a woman, and the words, "May you be eaten and return to beauty." It was only when I had a shower that night that I noticed the holes. Only a few at first, but it's been getting worse since.
Red has only touched a few chips. Shit.
I tried going back to the church, but the buildings were locked. Didn't see anyone through the windows, too. I tried going past each day, but I noticed the bank transfers didn't come through either.
So they're gone?
As far as I know.
They sigh.
I honestly don't know what to do at this point, and part of me doubts it'll matter anyway.
Could we try to find the bent woman? She's supposedly a real person, after all.
If she exists, only the minister supposedly sees her.
Did your mother see her?
Apparently.
They say it with a tone that gives me the impression they don't entirely trust their mother.
Still, it's as good an option as any.
They finished up their spritzer.
Thanks, by the way.
I smile awkwardly. It's all right.
By the way, when I said I liked you, I hope it wasn't weird or anything. Gotta admit, I was a little high.
I blush. No, it's fine. Promise. I gently scratch my wrist. I like you too, I mean. They smile. We spend the rest of the hour awkwardly flirting with another round of drinks. Talk eventually comes to our plans for the night, which I have none.
By the way, did you want to spend the night at my place? We could watch some shows and cuddle.
Sure. Watching shows and cuddling? It's like the best evening ever.
Yeah.
We take a taxi together as the sun sets. They've got some money saved up to burn. The river Derwent shines a vivid orange as we drive over the bridge. I see their place for the first time, a bungalow. Not especially big, but living in your own home in our generation is pretty much an extravagance. We head inside. They show me into the lounge room.
Sorry I haven't had time to clean up.
There's a few containers for food delivery and bottles laying around on a coffee table, along with a bong that's very intricately decorated and seems to be hand-painted. I want to see that bong. I look closely at the bong. I don't do weed, but the ones I've seen in tobacconist shops tend to be a lot simpler. The translucent painting work appears to be of arum lilies.
I'm really proud of it, although it took me a couple of tries. I actually used to sell some on Etsy, though my store got taken down.
Shame. It's really good. They smile but attempt to be modest about it. We order some pizza while trying to decide on what to watch. Soon it turns to some cuddling on the sofa. Oh.
That one.
Playful neck scratches. Playful neck scratches. I feel like this game was made just for me. Which soon leads to some playful neck scratches. They first start scratching my neck and I follow in turn. I don't wear nail polish, but I do varnish and my nails are quite sharp. The noises they make are cute. When the pizza finally arrives, we just decide to put on some cartoon with decent queer rep, which I haven't seen, but Red insists is a must-see. We nonetheless just keep talking while we eat. This is like best date ever.
Aside from the being consumed by inexplicable holes.
I don't know. It seems like a good like conversation starter.
I see.
And we haven't discovered what the holes are for yet. We don't know.
So the thing that's throwing me about this is I have this vague, half-remembered terror of exactly this. Of developing holes that slowly spread all over your body and consume you, and I don't know why that's a specific fear that I have, and I don't know why it's one that I'm just now beginning to remember.
I would... You picked a hell of a time for that.
Yeah.
I would believe it if you told me that it was based on mid-thousands creepypasta that went around or something like that.
Maybe. That would make sense.
I would believe it if you said you could trace it back there.
That would make sense.
Like, what number SCP is holes? Talk eventually comes back to the holes. Just woke up this morning. Then the holes.
I see.
They slide their skivvy off to check the spread. First asking if it'd be okay to do so, wearing a singlet top. The holes appear to be numerous as before, though I see for the first time how far up their arm they go.
They're going to keep spreading. Was never taught much about these curses, but it's not going to stop.
We could find out whoever did this at least. They give me a wry smile.
Yeah, we could. Could also spend the night getting high and having fun, too. We could do both.
They toss their shirt to the ground. I like Red's priorities. Holes, and let's get high. I find the holes jarring and unnerving to look at least at present, so I tend to look at their face when I'm looking at them at all. Red brings in some glasses. Rum and Coke. I only drink socially, and even then only occasionally, but I'm still keen. They take a generous... It's gotta sound really weird for, like, the most white-ass American to be reading this shit. You know what I mean?
What?
I'm picking up on a couple of turns of phrase that seem from across the pond.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Okay, yeah, I did not get that.
Yeah, okay. They take a generous sip.
You know, if we do look for a way to stop this, it's going to be dangerous. Whatever shit's going on, it's just a fraction of it. I'd be okay with just spending time together.
I want to help. They look exasperated.
Why, though? I'm not asking why do you care. I'm asking why would you put yourself into danger like that? You're not fucked up like me.
I sigh. It's what anyone would do.
They wouldn't. They really wouldn't. Most people would have some better survival instincts.
I pause. Maybe. I guess I've been pretty reckless today. Even coming here to do uni after I'd already dropped out the first time was done on a whim. Somehow, though, taking a step back and going to university in a tiny city like this one allowed me to connect with people more. Red puts their hand on my arm.
It means a lot to me. It really does. I just can't understand it.
I mean, you grew up in like a sect, right?
Yeah, it was probably different. Everything felt ordered. Even leaving didn't feel like it was on my own terms. I haven't even spoken to my parents because I feel like if I do, I'll have to rejoin.
I sometimes talk to my parents in Malaysia over video calls, but they talk over me a lot. Don't really ask how I'm coping. Don't even think they know I'm queer.
I get that. My parents accept me, but I was only ever really able to explore that whole side of me through social media groups. Had some bad experiences, too.
Yeah. Raise your hand if you had bad experiences on the internet exploring your queer identity. I don't press them on it, though.
But if you're really wanting to help, we can start looking tomorrow.
They hold me close. Ooh. Just in case. I don't know how... A couple of Twine games we've played have had some... have been pretty spicy.
Yeah.
So just to make sure we don't have to age rate this one, let's go for the safer option. We spend the rest of the night cuddling and watching shows. It's not because we're prudes. It's because we don't want to have to age rate our videos.
It's because we want to finish the show. What happens at the end?
What I need to know. I'm like, what? Like they're people, but they're also rocks. I don't get it. Red goes for a few hits the bong, and I just cuddle next to them. We talk for a few hours into the night and pass out on the couch next to them. I dream. There is nothing. I dream of being in class. I'm trying to write something down, but the paper seems to have a hole in it. I keep turning pages, but there's more holes. Even the book's cover has holes in it, and the desk. I turn to Red, but they're no longer there. The few people who are here have holes in them. I don't even think to check my own body, knowing what I will see. The walls have holes in them, but I cannot see outside. Only a fleshy darkness. There is nothing. The servant has started roaming once more. The Unbound is still at large. The city that is too small to be a city is ignorant of this. The chilly air blankets the hills. The sun rises but is smothered by clouds. It is a corporeal day. I wake up. I wake up on the couch. Red isn't there. I drift in and out of sleep before eventually my mind starts wandering and worrying enough to get up. I find them in the kitchen. They're sat at the table, looking down at a crumpled envelope and holding an old photograph. The photograph is very blurry, and there appears to have had a long exposure, looking like a daguerreotype. The paper it's printed on does not seem old.
I think it's the bent woman.
Red remarks blankly, noticing my approach. So she was a real person?
Supposedly still is.
They pass the photo to me.
But I'm better off looking for my mom in the church. Best bet's the house, but I don't have a key.
Could we break in?
I suppose so.
They give a wry smile.
Surprised that was your first point of call.
Your mother would be understanding, right?
It's still legally Minister Lucan's house. As far as I know, the police don't know he's dead.
It only now seems to hit me that aside from all the more supernatural occurrences, there's still been a murder. Somehow, that's harder for me to process.
Did you want to come along, see the place?
Sure, I guess. I don't have any classes or lectures today. I guess this should probably take priority even if I did, though I've definitely never been in this situation before. Okay, maybe one time. We head out. Suburbs. We head out in the direction of the church. I looked up the location, and it appears to me it's going to take an hour on foot, but Red knows the area well, and it seemingly didn't even occur to them to take a bus or rideshare. In all my time here so far, I've never seen these streets, usually stuck to the city because there's just not much to see out here. Residential buildings with the occasional school or supermarket. Red seems to reminisce a bit. We stop by a local cafe on the way, breakfast and coffee. It's still pretty cold out late in the morning, and I'd only had my clothes I'd worn yesterday. I feel like I'm being watched. I feel like I'm being watched too. And if you'd like to continue watching us, why don't you go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button down below.
Got him.
Did you know that 69% of our viewers aren't subscribed? It's not a real statistic. I made it up.
That's pretty nice.
It's the inverse of that. Let's get that to the other nice. I don't know what the actual number is, but it's not. In all honesty, hitting like, commenting, and subscribing actually does make a big difference to the algorithms for small YouTubers like us, and helps us get capital N noticed. Where am I at?
You feel like you're being watched.
Oh, yeah, I feel like I'm being watched. I still feel like I'm being watched. It seems to have started earlier when we set out, but I've only just now noticed it. Been turning several times toward the corner of my vision, only to find there's nothing there. I still decide not to tell Red, however, as they've got enough to worry about, especially when it's likely just caffeine withdrawals, or possibly even withdrawals from secondhand smoke last night. So, what are we going to do if your mother's there?
I don't know, honestly. She could be behind it for all I know.
The holes?
Yeah, she grew a lot more distant since the attack. More focused on her new role as minister.
And your father?
He started traveling overseas, something he'd always wanted to do. Quit his job at the post office. We called sometimes, but he rarely knew much about the goings-on at the church. Don't think he's involved.
But you think she'd do this?
I worry I disappointed her, I guess. She'd been pretty cold last I'd seen her.
How would she even be able to do it? Like, did she get powers or something?
I don't think so. More like knowledge that comes with the church, like ritual shit.
I see. It feels a little hard to believe, but it's good if an explanation is any, I suppose. We had it again. I keep finding myself checking over my shoulder just in case, but coffee seems to have fixed things. Is there anything else she can do with the rituals?
I've not seen anything that supernatural before. We have done some unusual ceremonies, though. One with Luca even involved bloodletting.
Wait, seriously?
I didn't have to give any blood, but I did carry the bowl.
That actually raises more questions.
Blood bowl. Blood bowl.
Why is there a dedicated bowl for it?
Blood bowl.
If they don't have the bowl, can they grab one out of the
Why don't
cupboard?
we have a blood bowl?
We can get a blood bowl. Listen, any bowl can be a blood bowl if you're brave enough.
Okay.
Eventually, we arrive at the church. The building itself is quite small, but the church house is quite large and old. Behind the house is a small river, and a tree in the yard is set up with a small swing. Red stares at the house for a moment before approaching. You used to live here?
Only for a time, though I guess even before that, it was still my second home.
They ring the doorbell out of routine, but there's predictably no response. They try the door handle, and it's still locked.
No chance you can pick locks?
I could try.
Luckily, I've been watching The Lock-Picking Lawyer.
I was going to say, listen.
I've seen a video on this model.
I've been playing Skyrim a lot. My lock picking's 50 now. I should be fine. I never tried picking a lock before, but how hard can it be? They do it in movies and games all the time.
Oh, I was kidding.
Red smiles.
I used to have a set, but my tension wrench went missing.
They sigh, knowing that breaking them is the only option. They jump the fence at the rear of the house and head over to the stream. I follow over the fence and see them select a stone from the river, one with plenty of weight to it. They toss it with both hands into the air a couple of times just to check, and carry it over to me. Hey, it's your house. You should be the one to do it, I insist.
No worries.
They say, climbing back over the fence.
Just keep a lookout.
They take the rock, and we walk over to one of the larger windows near the back of the house. They take a few practice swings before striking at the window. It shatters loudly, but they still have to clear away the remaining glass. I give them a boost through the window. I'm slightly taller than them, but I'm not particularly athletic. I hear footsteps going through the house as they unlock and open the back door.
Welcome to Shea Red,
They say enthusiastically, gesturing outwards. The house's interior is comparatively modern, although some of the furniture and decorations seem quite old. There's no sign of anyone thus far, but Red wanders through a hallway deeper into the house. I decide to take the opulent walnut staircase instead. I open the first door on my right, and we see a twin bedroom. One bed is neatly made, the other is a mess. There doesn't seem to be anything of interest in here, so I move on. The next door I come to is a large bathroom, but there's a pile of towels on the floor next to the claw-footed bath, and some fleshy material staining them brown. I notice the shape to be a human hand. I retch, and notice the stale putrid air in the vicinity, taking over the more pleasant smell of aged wood. The hand looks like it's been there a couple of days at least, but definitely less than a couple of years ago. I do not approach too closely, and decide to move on. I'm about to open the next door when I notice some more fleshy material on the ground. I have to bend over and see that it's human toe, the toenail still attached. There's little blood. Against my better judgment, I open the door. Inside is a shape that looks much like the human corpse I had been dreading, and the smell gets so much worse. The shape on the king-sized bed looks wrong, and I realize the body is in pieces. The head seems to have rolled off the bed away from the torso, which is still clothed in a nightie. The head appears to be a woman's. I panic, begin to canter outside the house, eventually wandering over to the swing and sitting down. Red wanders out, having heard my movements.
Are you okay?
They can evidently see how shaken I look. It takes a while for me to find the right words to tell them, and I'm dreading the possibility that it's their mother. They give me a hug. They're clearly worried, but insist that they need to go in and check. They ask if I'll be okay to come with them just in case, and I assure them that I will. Red digs into their neck with their nails as we enter. After a moment, they speak.
Yeah, I think it's her.
There's a surprising lack of blood, however. Even if this was done post-mortem, there's really should be more than a few splotches. I keep this to myself, of course. I notice Red looking through some papers at the desk near the doorway, and they seem to be stuck on one in particular. It reads, "May you be unmade for your misdeeds." It is written on the back of a photo identical to the one Red was sent. Red choked several times trying to say the words.
It was another curse.
Somehow Red's mother was cursed to fall apart. They look clearly angry and scared, but still move over to a nearby cabinet. Inside are some books which look quite old. Most appear to be non-fiction books. Red looks through the spines of each of them carefully.
Fuck.
They jerk back and kick the cabinet. What's wrong?
It's not in here.
What's not?
There was a book. It's old. The Book of Rights.
Rights? No, rights with a Y. They leave the room and take some deep breaths. As I approach them, they seem to be significantly less stressed and talk in a more calm voice.
It's sort of used as a guidebook for some of the more unusual ceremonies, like the bloodletting one I mentioned before. I figured if there's a way to work out what's going on with the holes.
And reverse it? I ask almost eagerly.
Ideally, but I don't want to get my hopes up.
They head back over to the books, explaining that some of them could still be useful and that these books were only to be used by the ministers. One red leather-bound book has a logo printed on its spine with Cyrillic text and appears to be a handwritten journal with many mathematical equations. Red seems quite interested in it, though. They explain that it's quite rare and that Minister Lucan had bought it over a decade ago for just under $10 million.
Oh.
Good God. They're unsure of its use, but they decide to hold on to it just in case. Strangely enough, one of the books I discovered is a copy of the book Jaws, printed in Braille. Though Red's mother certainly wasn't blind, and they didn't think Lucan was either. We start rifling through some of the more unassuming, unlabeled books. Eventually they realize that one appears to be a funeral log.
The church runs unmarked burials.
They explain. As it was told to them, some groups are interested in the locations of the buried. The most recent entry appears to be Minister Lucan's.
Minister Lucan McKay.
1967 to 20XX. And specific geotag, huh? Okay. Where is that? That's specific.
Do we want to find out?
Hold on.
Do we want to find out real quick?
Yeah. Hold on. That's specific. Nope. Phone, what are you doing? Let's see. Latitude minus 42.8. Longitude 147.2.
Where are we at?
What? No, this is what I'm looking for.
Well, I have a feeling that just Googling the latitude and longitude may not be what we're looking for. Whoops, what's going on?
Let's see. Are we in Australia?
So it's negative 42.8.
Yep.
47.2. Yep, that takes us to
Australia.
Australia.
In Tasmania?
Yeah, near the Mount Faulkner Conservation Area.
Okay.
In a not very populated place, huh?
Yeah, strange. Okay, cool. So I was right that it's across the pond. I was just wrong at which pond it was.
Oh, near the River Derwent.
Oh, it is near the River Derwent. Look at this authenticity here.
Yeah.
I like it. All right.
I have a theory that maybe someone involved in the production of this game lived in this particular area.
Maybe. Maybe. Anyway.
I have a theory.
The House of Nefer, I find myself saying aloud.
Yeah, I guess it's a book then.
They take out their phone and start typing something in. Oh, we were just doing Foley work. Yeah, never mind. Are you looking it up?
Tried before. Came up with nothing. I'm looking up the coordinates.
For the body? You're not.
We were just method acting it. It's worth a try. We got ahead of them.
We were ahead of them. After searching the house some more and having found each of the remaining rooms to be empty, we decided to head out towards the burial site with 2 shovels we found in the house's shed. The location of the burial site appears to be some ways up the mountain. Okay, so yeah. The feeling of being watched seems to be back. I tell Red and they assure me that they can do this on their own. Still, I doubt this feeling would go away even if I did. I decided to ask some more questions. So what about the others in the church you mentioned?
There's Bill and Ruby. Oh, and I guess there's the lay members, like my father.
Let's hear about Ruby. You haven't said anything about Ruby before.
I just haven't generally gotten along well with her, at least as an adult. She kind of gave me turfy vibes.
Fair enough.
She used to be close friends with my mother, but that changed around the time she became minister. Though my mother generally didn't really have time to keep any friends.
What about Bill?
He was older than Ruby and my mother, but joined the church shortly after I was born. He was a Bunjalung man, grew up in Queensland.
Damn it, I would have gotten it at that point. How'd he end up here?
He joined the military in the 80s, but got dishonorably discharged for his homosexuality. I mean, fuck the military generally, but also for that.
Yeah.
I guess he was here in Tassie when it happened. The Church of the Bent Woman was generally pretty progressive, though, for an evil cult.
And what about the lay members?
Well, my dad was one of them. They're the people who usually show up to different sermons or ceremonies. They donate money to the church, but most of it comes from an equity fund held by the minister.
And your father? Is getting in touch with him an option?
He's still touring the world, I imagine. Probably picked up a new thing by now, like model trains or vintage game consoles or something.
They give a smile, but it does seem like they miss him too. We come to a trail. We come to a trail that leads into the mountains used by more experienced hikers and the occasional unlicensed sports shooter. It's late in the afternoon, however, and I can feel a chill start to set in. Red's outfit is slightly more appropriate, wearing a long-sleeved shirt, but still has no coat or jacket. I see what looks like a large mammal between the thickets of the trees, but seems to run away as I try to look closer. Decided it's best to press on rather than chase it. Red eventually remarks that they've started to feel like they're being watched too. We stop for a moment and look around, but seeing nothing, we keep moving forward, not wanting to waste any time out here in the chilly air. Red keeps checking their phone, hopefully not much further yet. The sun starts to go down behind the peak of the mountain, and it gets colder still. Perhaps for warmth we start walking arm in arm, but it doesn't seem to do much on that front. I really fucking wish I'd packed for this trip. Nevertheless, we press on. Sometimes when things get really hard, I think about how I can cry about it later. Not entirely sure how healthy that is, but it's sort of a morbid thing to look forward to. Being able to cry in a nice comfortable chair with something relaxing to drink. Red stops, checking their phone. Then turns to their right and takes a few paces forward.
I think it's somewhere here.
There's not even a cairn or a stick to mark the site, just 2 numbers that we've got to hope are exact. We dig. We scoop the coarse topsoil away and start plunging into the denser, packed soil below. It's cold, but the reason if we're working spends energy, then it's sure to help us keep just a tiny bit warmer. I hear a scraping noise from my shovel, but as we move in to dig it up, it turns out to be only bedrock. We check the phone and realign our efforts to make absolutely sure we're digging in the right spot. We keep digging and digging, moving on to different spots and trying to get an even coverage. Eventually, my shovel hits something. I don't alert Red, not wanting to get their hopes up, but as I start to clear the area, I see the wood of a makeshift casket. I alert Red, and we work in turns to clear the area, and eventually we get enough done to be able to lever open the lid with one of the shovels. The body has mostly skeletonized. Near the figure's legs are 2 books, although the flowers he was buried with have mostly already decayed. One is a Bible, the other is unlabeled, but is presumably the House of Nefer. Red flicks opens the book to check for moisture damage, but seems to be okay. I check the Bible for posterity, and it seems to be in Braille. Red is surprised by this, but on the whole, it doesn't feel like Lucan's blindness is an important revelation. We came here for the House of Nefer, after all. Just rustling in the branches, and I turn unconsciously. A strange figure stands in the thicket of trees, staring straight at us. Its body is ungulate, like a goat's, but with taller limbs. It does not make a noise. The caprine figure lurches forward, and we move back. We make eye contact with each other, but neither of us dare speak. The goat lowers itself, sitting before the skeletal body of Minister Lucan, as if paying respects. Then it leans forward and starts to nibble upon the bones. I move up closer to Red. Is it eating them? Red does not speak, just watches the tall goat. The goat grinds and crunches the bones, apparently enjoying the feast. Its tongue licks out against the minister's femur as it continues to munch on its dry meal. The creature stops before the pelvis and gets back onto its hooves. We start to head back, not wanting to alert this creature, but we hear some more crackling noises as the creature's limbs start to jerk wildly and seem to grow taller, its head staring at us from even higher than before. We keep moving back, even as the creature continues to stare. As soon as we break eye contact, we turn tail and run, leaving the shovels behind. It takes over half an hour of moving through the cold before we get to a residential street. We don't bother walking back and instead book a taxi. We wait on the edge of the road, huddled up next to each other. I'm really sorry about your mum, I say suddenly, it having been on my mind for some time. They don't respond. I guess I really don't have much to say to console them. Nonetheless, they still wrap their arms around me and hold me close. I hold them in turn.
I don't even know if I knew the real her. That's the hard part.
They say, eventually. My mother's not some part of some... I'm taking my mulligan. My mother's not part of some secret cult, but I still relate to that bit. I'm supposed to call her tonight.
You should.
Are you going to be okay on your own tonight?
Yeah, trust me. I think I sometimes need space, too. To just clear my head.
The warmth of the taxi feels like bliss. Now that hypothermia is off the menu, I give Red a parting hug as the taxi drops them off, and I continue down to my home and lay down on my bed with the room's heating system on. The Skype call with my mother does end up feeling awkward still, and I don't end up telling her anything new, but it ends up somehow feeling cathartic for a reason I can't explain. Maybe it's that I feel like I can risk burning bridges by telling her things now. Whatever the case, I spend the rest of the evening relaxing and winding down. I messaged Red a couple times. They're looking through the book while watching anime, apparently. Weeb. I pass out in the warm, heated room. I don't even feel like crying. I dream of being watched. I am in an empty field and there is nowhere to hide. I cannot see what is coming after me, but I can feel the edge of its burning gaze. I lay down flat on the uneven grass, hoping it will camouflage my body, but it just keeps getting warmer. And I see the grass turn red as it too begins to burn. The tall goat is here. The traitor waits in prison. The unbound has set a trap. The sun rises again, but its rays cannot penetrate beneath the crust. It is a burrowed day. I wake up, feeling dehydrated. I crawl out of bed and slink over to pour myself some water into a mug from the drying rack. When I sit back down to check my messages on my bedside, I have 4 of them from Red.
Bent. Fuck. Ben, apostrophe T. Just call when you wake up. Lesson 3.
I call them while making breakfast, a little worried, but they answer after a couple of rings. They've been reading the book last night. A lot of it is the abstract metaphysics and philosophy they learned as an acolyte, but apparently goes into more detail about the church's origins. The Church of the Bent Woman was formed originally in Leeds, England, although there are records that indicate older iterations of the church. The name comes from the founder of the church, the Be-Not Woman, who was said to have had a translucent body. One can see straight through her as if she is not entirely present. Her origins are unknown, but she appears to be immortal. She must have studied the sequence if she was ever indeed human. A story is told, although maybe apocryphal, that she was considered a saint by the Chalcedonian Christian Church to be a saint after her beheading, but this was withdrawn after she was found to still be alive. That's a good reason. Whoops, beheading didn't take. When colonialism's cruel machine demanded a prison colony in Port Arthur, the ministers looked to exploit this as a means to proselytize without raising too much suspicion from the Crown and Church of England. The Library of Nefer was constructed in the 1860s beside the rivulet that runs through town. It did not contain very many books and primarily functioned as a space for church rites. As the new city started to bury the old, the library too became buried in the rivulet tunnels, although the new ground floor became a bookstore. When the bookstore was knocked down to build a shopping center, the basement was sealed off, although it remains accessible through the tunnels. So should we search the rivulet? I ask.
Exactly.
Red sounds a little more confident than usual. In my time here, the tunnels have been closed off from the public due to the danger from the flooding. Access is controlled by the university, but it's mainly civic workers who are actually allowed entry. We agreed to meet up at the university. I have a class in the morning, and yesterday it'd be nice to play things safer today. Oh, a highlight text. I buy a Swiss Army knife on the no-way. It's not something I normally purchase, but the events of yesterday have got me thinking to be more prepared, just in case. I get carded, which somehow brings to mind the gravity of the situation. On the way to the university, I come across Nathan, one of the others from the board game group, smoking by the side of the road. Apparently he got kicked out of the comp sci lab after getting into an argument with the guy running it. He explains the class is running some computer animation framework for Ceton 70, a Soviet-era computer. A lot of people really feel it's not actually useful. The professor flew off the handle when Nathan tried to air these grievances, however. He was told to leave until he was ready to have a greater understanding. I decided to tell him about the goings-on with Red and I, and tell him I'll see him at the next board games group. I tend to find talking with him awkward. I know people like that, where you're just like, you know what? No matter what conversation we have, it's going to be mad awkward.
Yeah.
I decided to catch up with the others before my sampling theory lecture. Sean and Selena are still in their comp sci class, but Mike is sitting in the library, playing something on his phone. He waves me over and I sit down next to him. We make small talk for some time, but Mike has eventually asked a more direct question. So, what's the situation with Red? Oh, it's alright. I feel like maybe we only give rough details here. Decided to give Mike only some rough details. So we're trying to find the members of the church that Red grew up in, and that there's a building with records that should explain things. He's surprised. I had no idea Red was even religious.
Well, they're not exactly, but there's family matters going on.
Family matters?
People sending angry letters and stuff.
I shrug. He seems to buy the explanation well enough, at least, and doesn't ask for further details. I spend my time in the lecture largely messaging Red. They're a little hungover from the drinking last night, but they're on their way. After the lecture, I catch up with Selena in one of the corridors. She was in the same lab as Nathan, and she also finds the class in the emulation of dead hardware to be kind of strange. If this was just about structured programming, it would at least make sense, but we're just supposed to be entering in these operations with only a rough explanation of the functions.
Is this also supposed to be... Is the comp sci class also background horror?
Oh, no.
Or something? Are
you making up to $22,000 a month by being your own boss? Is that what's happening here? Can you talk to the course coordinator?
Tried before. The guy used to teach in Cambridge. The uni seems to give him carte blanche.
Makes me a bit concerned about why he left Cambridge. She hums.
Probably just his personality.
I get a message on my phone. It's from Red.
Meet me at the rivulet gate near hospital.
I make an excuse to leave and head out to the meeting spot. Red is there, but so is Mike. You're gonna need the keys. Mike shows off a small key ring on his pinky finger. Taking photography wasn't completely useless after all, he dryly remarks.
They just let you have the keys?
Red asks. Some people just jump the fence. They figure it's safe if we don't shatter our ankles. He unlocks the gate, which is stone steps leading down to the rivulet, which quickly disappears into the tunnels. I try to make out anything in the darkness of the tunnels. And you're just allowed to let anyone in. Said I'm allowed to if it's part of my work. Just have to leave at the first sign of flooding. Pulls out a small black electric torch and heads down the steps. We follow him to the concrete bank beside the rivulet. We enter the tunnels. The light of the torch isn't quite enough to see by, so I take out my phone, see that it's on 70% battery, and set it to flashlight mode. Yeah, there's some creepy sculptures here. Let me see. Mike waves the torch over the walls, revealing some strange lumps on the walls. A closer look reveals them to be dolls' heads.
What the fuck?
Red walks over to the bizarre creation. Street artists, explains Mike. Some of them make things in places most people won't see. There's also a bizarre crest on the wall depicting a winged creature. Or is it tentacles? Not here to look at cool art, however, so we press on. So we're definitely going upstream, right? I ask, as my phone seems to intermittently lose its GPS signal. Pretty sure, says Mike. At some point upstream, flat concrete is replaced by old brickwork, and piping juts out from the walls. It's unclear if the piping is still used. There are doorways, but most of them just seem to have been sealed off. Some of them lead to basements. They just get flooded sometimes, says Mike. There are old chains dangling from pipes near the ceiling, and some trail along the floor. The chains bristle as we walk through them. Should be in the middle of the city right now, I remark. Suddenly, I hear Red grunt as they appear to be caught in a loop of change, which start to raise up to the ceiling. Mike and I try to pull them down, but they appear to be caught. Red kicks against the brick wall, however, and pulls themselves loose, although they land straight onto their back, a look of terror on their face. Above us, visible only through the light of my phone, chains dangling from tears in its flesh, is a large humanoid creature with a grimace on its face, nestled in some pipework in the roof of the tunnel. Mike and I help Red to their feet, and the three of us amble forward into the dark. Red is startled.
It's the guy, the one who killed Lucan.
Man, that guy? I hate that guy. What? Mike clearly has no idea what's going on.
Oh my god, is the Unbound here trying to turn Red into the Be Not woman? By filling Red's entire body with holes until Red becomes
oh my god.
nothingness?
I think you might, maybe.
And that's why there is nothing?
Maybe. So Red would be a bad pick for that. Red's not a woman. Come on now. We hear a loud clatter from behind as the creature evidently falls down. Mike turns his torch over to the source of the sound. The Unbound gets up, and I see his face for the first time. He begins to approach, and his scowls with a look of surprise.
You're the bloody snipe from the church.
His voice is deep and coarse. He begins to lunge towards us, but Mike throws the torch straight at him. It hits his head before disappearing, the stranger's face becoming barely visible.
Blasted snatcher!
His voice breaks into a roar. I reach into my bag to grab the pocket knife. I take some steps back, brushing up against the wall of the tunnel. The man leaps forward and pins one of the other two to the ground. They try to punch him in the chest, but immediately cry out in pain. It's Mike. Oh, I'm in pain. Red tries to kick the stranger, but the massive man does not budge in the slightest. Mike cries out once more, even louder this time, causing me to drop the knife in shock. This time I hear the clinking of metal chains come from inside him. The bare flesh of his back tears open in the shape of a new mouth, revealing multiple chains whirring in different directions, though his body like a meat grinder through which blood seems to spill. I don't even know the way back to run. If I could, so I search on the ground for the Swiss Army knife. I use my teeth to draw out the blade as Mike's screams become less frequent. The knife jerks in and sputters as I plunge it into the newly emerged maw. It doesn't even seem to be the blade, so much the knife as a whole blocking the chains. The limbs of the Unbound start to spasm and contort in odd ways, or at least ways that would be odd if it weren't for the bone underneath his skin. He turns to look up at me, his neck behaving much unlike a neck, and smiles. Then he goes limp. I spend a moment wondering if he is dead, but then my thoughts quickly turn to Mike, who has stopped screaming and is shivering intensely. He looks as if he is trying to say something. Red tries to pull the stranger's body away by his leg, but it is caught on something. I try to reassure him, but all I can do is help Red move the body. As we raise it, we see blood, a lot of blood. Mike's arm has been gnawed down to a bloody stump, the humerus bone protruding outwards. He looks at it, barely processing it, as he starts to convulse more severely. I curse in quick succession and try to hold his body in place. Best efforts can only go so far. Mike does not move, does not breathe, does not do anything that living people do. The hunk of chains left behind by the Unbound barely even looks human, but Mike's body very much still does. I've never seen anyone die before. I've seen my grandmother in hospital when she was sick before she died, but between that moment and the funeral was a lot of blank space my brain had to fill in. Red lets out a stream of expletives, but resigns to sitting down cross-legged on the floor. We debate leaving and calling for emergency services, but in the end, Red feels it'd be better to press on. We need to get what we came here for. They get up and grab Mike's torch. Wow. The tunnels here are much less pedestrian-friendly, random pipes and gutters to climb over. We do not talk much as we continue through the tunnels.
Wait. Oh, I think we're close.
Remember, this is a two-person effort.
I just could not figure out which paragraph we were in.
Says Red. They open each door, most of which open to storage rooms or do not open at all. One door, however, has been broken into, and the steel door pulled off its hinges. The nameplate simply reads, Nefer. The library is quite small. It is dark and damp, with only 2 shelves ruined by water damage, and on the middle of the ground is a woman that I do not recognize. Red, however, does.
Ruby?
The woman struggles around on the muddy floor, trying to get up, but failing. Is that you, Red? Her voice is raspy. Oh, hold on. Is that you, Red? Her voice is raspy and creaky. Nailed it.
Yeah, it's me.
She turns up to face our direction, and I see she has no eyes, just 2 black holes, much like the holes on Red's skin. Red is just as startled as I am. I'd have hoped you'd been eaten by now.
What?
Red's voice shakes a little.
What?
Did you see what happened to your mother? Her face curls into a smile.
You did that?
Their hand forms a fist. She was a traitor to our movement, just as you were. Her voice breaks off, and she tips her head back to the muddy water, drinking it. Even that bent woman. Red relents a bit.
What about the bent woman?
Goddamn turf's ruining everything. She waves her hand in front of her face. She did this to me. I take this opportunity to join the conversation. She took your eyes? I was Minister Lucan's eyes, she said. And since he is gone, she said I was no longer needed.
You were Lucan's eyes.
Red looks as if they're putting a puzzle together. The Book of Rights. Lucan relied on others to read it. She rolls over onto her back with a smug look. Don't tell me he never told you. Red sighs.
I guess it never came up.
And you and your mother both let him die. Her voice fades off into a whisper once more. She rolls onto her side and gulps some more muddy water. You want to know the funny part? The Unbound, the guy who did the deed, was here. He's been waiting for the bent woman, too.
He's dead.
Red insists. She laughs. Unlikely. That's his problem, you see. We spoke before.
Wait. What?
It makes sense, but he certainly seemed dead. He used to be a member of the church. He was a convict from Ireland over 100 years ago. Dennis Doherty. Prison could never break him for the longest time, but eventually it did. Even when he left, the prison stayed inside him.
What happened?
The bent woman cursed him, called it a blessing. His was to never die. Cruel, really. Red slowly steps towards Ruby.
You cursed me.
Yes, I guess I did do that, didn't I? Red throttles the older woman.
Stop being churlish.
She seems to laugh, only without any air. This only makes Red more angry.
Where is the book? The Book of Rights.
They continue strangling her until they realize she is no longer smiling and can't possibly speak without air. She takes a while to catch her breath. The book is on the table. She placed it there before she took my eyes. I look down at the wooden desk. Oh, it has a Y. That's a good gag. The Book of Rights. It's an old book with a hardcover. Opening the pages, some writing appears to be printed, and some appears to be handwritten, although there are no pictures aside from hand-drawn diagrams. I put the book inside my bag. Well, we got what we came here for. Should we go? Red is still looking down at the wretch on the floor.
Not yet. I need to figure out what to do about her.
We're gonna watch this. I stay still and watch the unfolding scene. Ruby snarks. Ruby snarks!
Snirk.
She snarks!
Snirk.
Comment in the chat if you've ever snarked before. Do we have any snark heads in the chat? What are you going to do? Kill me?
I don't know yet.
Red has a certain malice in their voice that I haven't ever heard before. You can't use my body for the ride. Her hollow laugh fills the room. Red kicks the feeble creature on the ground.
I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't even care at this point. I just want to know why.
Why? Her voice sounds amused.
Why you did what you did.
Red digs one of their thumbs into Ruby's eye holes. There's nothing there to press into, but they press her head straight back into the muddy water. Ruby's head emerges from the water as Red relents. You never accepted what you are, or what you're meant to be. And your cow of a mother was part of that.
Fuck, what is wrong with you?
I'm a turf. It rots your brain. That's a APR true fact for all of you. Being a turf will rot your brain. Don't be a turf. She even let you leave the church. Nobody just leaves the church. She grabs Red by their collar and digs her overgrown fingernails into their neck. I accepted you as you are, not as what you think you want to be. Red pushes her down into the muddy water. They do not relent this time. We do not see any trace of the Unbound, even as we pass by. Oh, we're just leaving it at that, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Bye, Mike.
Okay.
Nice knowing you.
No, I didn't mean the Mike part. I mean that, like, we're just...
Oh, yeah.
Just, okay.
Just doing a quick murder.
Rip Ruby. We don't see any trace of the Unbound, even as we pass by Mike. I suggest we should tell someone, but Red advises against it.
It's not like we have a good non-supernatural explanation for it.
As we return from the tunnels, I see someone waiting at the entrance gate, an older man in a vest.
Philip Martin, PhD, DPS, and MBE.
He has a rather posh English accent. He offers out a hand to shake. After a moment's awkwardness, I decide to shake it. There's something strange about this man that I cannot quite put my finger on. He looks over both of us, but he seems to be more interested in Red.
I'm going to cut to the chase. You have something that I need.
Red and I exchange a glance, and Red looks very unnerved. I hold the bag containing the Book of Rites tightly, but he seems uninterested by it.
To be more exact, what I need is a specific book by one Sergei Sobolev. Very influential man in mathematics, you see.
He appears to be trying to restrain his passion.
He wrote a journal during his time as a professor in Moscow. I believe you have it.
Red tries to brush him off.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Philip grabs Red by the shoulder, but they break free. I follow them, but he calls out to Red.
I can see that you are marked by holes.
Oh! They turn around, and he continues.
With this book, I could resolve this whole problem of yours.
Red pauses, suddenly suspicious.
Who are you?
The professor smiles.
I am but Prometheus, bringing the gift of fire.
As he said this, I realized what exactly I find so odd about him. His eyes have no pupils, irises and sclera, but no black dot in the middle. He stops smiling.
It's just an offer, something to keep in mind.
He locks up the gate, hands Red a business card, and walks back toward the university.
Good day.
Ugh. Sorry about the weird cut there. We had to get some more coffee. And apparently, $5 canned coffee.
Apparently.
Yeah. It's good. Don't know if it's worth $5, but it's good.
I splurged, okay?
Yeah, no. You absolutely should splurge on the days where we record. Speaking of which, today's episode is brought to you by Brio Coffee Works Nitro Flash Chilled Coffee. Available wherever that product is sold. Tautological advertisement. Did you know this product has flavors?
No.
It does. It also contains ingredients.
Oh, shit.
And will enact responses in your body. I come with Red to their place. I suggest we should see what we can do with the Book of Rites first, and they agree. Many rites are benign, but some are too vague or esoteric for even Red to understand. Each have a list of ingredients, as if it were a recipe. We find the cursing rites. Each seems to require an image of the bent woman to work, although it's unclear why. The entry for the Rite of Beauty, which has a description akin to Red's current condition, says... We find one for the Rite of Resolution, which promises to bring resolution to curses. The ingredients are, however, a little complicated. A saucer of human blood, at least a half ounce, that's a saucer, a dollop of milk, cow's milk works reliably, a large animal bigger than a sheep, alive, the image of the bent woman. We are both frustrated at the use of imperial measurements, but it's the large animal that seems like the hardest item to get. This whole thing even works. Yeah, because
people are animals.
Saucer of human blood. Stop with that. Stop with that. They don't have one of those.
They've gone through one person already today.
I assume that's where they're going to get the blood. We spend the rest of the day reading the book, cuddling, and watching shows. Red's holes have spread, now even on their neck, but we both seem to non-verbally acknowledge this and move on. I would be worried about cuddling, like, if I was on top, and then, like, what is Red's structural integrity like?
Yeah.
Now, like, if they're getting more and more porous, like, I'm worried I would lean on them and they'd, like, collapse. And be like, because it's more and more just empty space, right? How you holding up, Red? I eventually gently caress the edges of the holes with my fingers, and they seem to like the feeling. They pull me close, brush the book aside, and playfully bite my neck, which feels just as nice. So, wait, you can the holes are, they're not erogenous, but like they're also not unpleasant. Okay, moving along from that thought. We talk of inconsequential things about earlier in the year. There was a time when we spent all night watching some terrible movies over the internet at my place, but it was still fun to just riff on them together like that. I end up sleeping in their bed this night. I dream of being trapped. I am in my apartment, but the door only opens to thick, packed concrete. The windows are the same, there is no natural lighting, no mobile phone reception. The plumbing and electricity both work, but there is no internet access. I appear to be some kind of private eye, trapped inside my office. As far as I can tell, to the offices next to me are my also cohorts, private eyes, that are also trapped in their respective offices.
What?
It's Problem Sleuth.
I have not read Problem Sleuth.
Really?
Yeah.
You should read Problem Sleuth at some point.
Are we going to turn into Homestucks?
Problem Sleuth is better than Homestuck, fight me. I try to bang on these unseemly barriers, but there isn't even any reverb. I try to use kitchen knives and sporting goods to bore through the walls of my room, but these two only reveal the thick, packed concrete. The Unbound finds that death eludes him yet again. The servant is gone, whereabouts unknown. It rains heavily, flooding the tunnels underneath the city. The sun rises. It is a possible day. I dream of being trapped. I wake up, Red still asleep beside me. I don't wake them and slip out of the bed. I feel restless and find myself thinking about Mike. I don't think I've fully processed that he's gone, but that we were there for it. I didn't even really tell him what was going on. I step into the corridor to head out to the front porch and notice a note the size of a birthday card on the door to the garage. Tiny words are written on it in neat cursive pencil. For the marked one. I press my ear to the door and hear a low moaning from inside. I do not open it. It is not meant for me anyway. They found an animal.
Yeah.
So I had to tell Red. They're still asleep, but I see the holes have spread further down their chest. Try to wake them first by whispering to them and then tapping them on the shoulder. They groggily wake up with a sly yawn. I open the door while they stand guard with a plastic chair from the kitchen. Inside the dimly lit garage is a large beast bound up and on its back. I have seen this creature before 2 nights ago, the tall goat. Oh no, I thought we had an understanding with the tall goat.
Huh?
Oh, sorry. I thought we had come to kind of an accord with the tall goat. Like they got to munch on the dude and when we didn't fuck with them, right? Its cloven hooves struggle in the air, bound up in a length of rope. Several objects have been kicked off a nearby shelf from its ineffectual thrashing.
A large animal.
Red slowly says to themselves. Someone just delivered it here?
Apparently.
They walk over to the garage door, taking care to avoid the wild movements of the large creature, and crouch down, attempting to pull the handle. Still locked?
Yeah.
They stand back up.
Hasn't been forced either.
Either we're dealing with a cat burglar or something supernatural. Do you think they're trying to help us?
I don't know. We don't even know for sure if this right will help.
They gaze at the pathetic, strange creature struggling on the floor.
We have to kill the animal in the right, you know. I don't know if I could even do that.
What about yesterday? They stare at me sadly.
That was different. She hurt me so bad, and she was suffering.
I can't disagree with that. She was drinking moisture from the ground to survive, but still, it's just strange to think about.
Yeah.
They idly brushed dust aside across the concrete floor with their foot.
I don't even know what to think about it.
We were pretty shaken after what happened to Mike.
Yeah.
We should probably tell someone. Red moves over to me slowly and pulls me into a hug.
We will. But first we've got to finish this.
The right?
Yeah.
The first step. Let's just jump right in.
No, are we sure? Let's go.
No, are we sure? The first step is to make sure we have all the ingredients. We have the large animal, obviously. Red collects a picture of the bent woman from the kitchen. You sure it'll work?
Positive. We know it worked for the other right.
They indicate the holes on their neck. The blood we both have, obviously. We said we'll figure out how to extract it when needed. That leaves the milk. You're not going to get any from Mike? All right.
Any milk?
No, blood.
Okay.
Settle down.
I was very confused.
That leaves the milk.
Yeah, I only keep soy milk.
Red shrugs. Hang on, I thought you ordered regular milk with your coffee.
Soy milk lasts a lot longer. I'm not so great at planning grocery shit, so I kind of order in bulk. Hey! Me too.
I feel you.
I also get soy milk for reasons such as that, and also that I like soy milk.
We make a quick trip out to the local milk bar. Red wears a scarf around their neck to hide the holes. Nobody seems to notice, despite it not being particularly cold. What do you think what's happened to them, the rest of the church?
Bill might still be around, but I don't know if there's any other clergy left. Maybe people just stopped going.
We return home with a 1-liter carton, and I place it on the floor of the garage. The creature avoids looking at me when I enter. We have everything in the vicinity now, assuming this works. The next step is the blood. A half ounce of blood is approximately 15 milliliters, about the size of a tablespoon. Red locates a sewing needle from a cupboard, washes it in vodka. A clean plate from the cupboard is easy to find. The only question is whose blood?
Whose blood?
Will it actually help if it's our blood? Does it matter who? Let's offer our own. We're feeling bold today. I offer my own blood for the right, as if it would be triggering for them. Red protests, as it's for their own sake, but I argue that I haven't been through as much as them. Seems fair in a way. They get out some cotton buds, just in case. My cousin is a nurse, but I've still never inserted a needle before, and I don't even take any medicine-related courses. I sit at the kitchen table, staring at my arm just above the saucer. I try to find a good vein by pressing it in firmly, as I've seen nurses do, and insert the needle. It stings a bit, but it does not pierce inside. I ask Red for help, and they give them my arm. I look away and clench my fist. It slides in cleanly, even if it hurts. I worry about it going too deep, and turn back, seeing a small amount of blood trickle out. It takes a couple of seconds before it drips onto the plate, and even then it's a tiny amount. I move my hand and attempt to put out the blood faster and let the blood drip out. It takes a couple more insertions of the needle in different places before we get to what seems to be at least half ounce. We go a little over time, just to make sure there's enough. And it's time to start the rite of resolution.
This is the part that gets me. All the supernatural shit, nope. But the needles.
Yeah, it's funny, because, like, the most horrifying stuff is the stuff that's the most real, right?
Also, I just have a needles thing.
Oh my god, is that a needle over there?
No!
It's crawling all over the kitchen cupboard.
No. It's especially funny because I used to have to get my blood drawn either monthly or twice monthly because of reasons, and it never got better. I just got more afraid of them as the years went
They
on.
really like to draw your blood all the fucking time when you're on hormones.
Yeah.
For, like...
And even more when you're on other medications that also require blood drawing.
Yeah. I place the knife over to the large creature to start the rite. Its elongated neck moves like a giraffe's and turns to face me, a look of what appears to be mournfulness in its eyes. Or is it pity? So, are we gonna do this?
You don't have to be here for it.
They mention. I've come through this far, though. Red places the photograph of the bent woman on the ground, facing up. I place the bloody saucer down in front of it. They recite from memory.
For without blood, I am inanimate.
Their delivery is strong, and they almost sound like a different person. Was this how things were in the church? Follow the next step. And pour milk into the dish. It splashes on the sides of the plate and spills over. Red stirs the mixture with their finger.
Yuck.
Ugh.
For without nourishment, I am hungered.
They pour the mixture upon their head. They shiver as it trickles down their scalp and their neck. The rite now calls for the culling of the large animal. The poor animal kicks its bound hose in the air pathetically. The knife is on the ground. Alright, gotta do it. Whoa, okay. I cut the creature across its throat. Although I do not cut as cleanly as I would hope. I underestimate the strength required, or perhaps the sharpness of the blade. I use my other hand to reinforce the kitchen knife as the carpine creature cries out loudly in pain, thrashing its legs around even more wildly. Attempting to emulate normal animal slaughter seems futile with the creature. Its bones do not seem to be in places I would expect, and I cut more haphazardly as it squeals. I look down at Red, who merely glances over and tries to hide the reaction. Blood gently trickles from the creature's neck, but it still stares at me as it expires.
For without death, I am purposeless.
It is done. I look over at Red. They sit still. The skin around the hole seems to warp and boil, almost imperceptibly at first, but one by one they seem to close up.
Fuck. Yes.
They sigh with relief. I sit down next to them. They're covered in blood and milk, and neither of us care. I nudge up against their shoulder. I'm relieved, too. The last couple of days have been a trip. So it's all over, I ask?
I don't know. I hope so, though.
We go for a celebratory drink. In a nearby park, one that's out of the way, hidden between backs of houses. They bring a couple of cans of mixed drinks from home. We make small talk. It has been a time, and taking a moment to just relax feels nice, even if there's still some loose ends that are no longer on a deadline, and we solve some mysteries at least. All of a sudden, our quietude is shattered by a voice I do not recognize.
I hope we can put the revelries on hold for a moment.
I turn to see a figure I have only seen before in photographs. She does not appear like any person, indeed any object I have seen before. Her tall, shadowy body is translucent, and I can see the houses straight through her. Even this visage seems incorporeal, and she seems like a triple exposure photograph, 3 bodies in slightly different positions with 3 sets of arms. Red is too shocked to speak. I consider speaking, but given the context, it seems somehow inappropriate. She turns to Red.
I see. You have appreciated my gift.
She smiles, but it does not entirely seem sincere.
Thank you.
Red manages to blurt out. I give a grateful nod in addition.
I must admit it was not out of altruism. It was a bug that I felt imprudent to kill.
A bug? Was she referring to the tall goat?
Furthermore,
She continues.
it would be mutually beneficial for us if you were to return to the church. Of course.
Red answers slowly. She glances over at me, turning back to Red.
Your friend is watched.
Watched? I ask, wanting to know who or what I'm being watched by.
Something you cannot understand.
Red loses their reverent tone.
What do you mean?
The bent woman looks down at Red.
Who is this person to you?
Red is a bit flustered at having to give a name to us, but they eventually respond with a vague,
We're close.
followed by a curt,
Intimate.
after. She gives a strange smile as she looks at me up and down.
You are in a lot of danger, child, but I will give you a chance to survive.
A chance?
Join us.
She offers a hand. Another of her hands is offered in the direction of Red.
Join the church.
Red takes her hand. I take her hand. There is no other choice. Her visage fades in and out, but her touch is still strong. Her other hands pull us close into an embrace. I do not wish to break free, nor does Red.
Do you pledge yourself to the church?
She asks in this wispy voice. I don't even know what to say. Yes? She smiles. It is unclear if she's entirely sincere. Her facial expressions tend to be indistinct due to her form. I feel Red's arm around my body as I begin to feel lightheaded. I dream of her embrace. The bent woman calls to me in the night. I get out of bed and her form appears before me. I long to be close to her. Her ecstatic arms pull me close and I am powerless to resist. Her power and beauty is beyond my comprehension, but I can see a small rhizome of it within her physical form. Was she ever like us? Like Red or I? I do not know, but I may one day, and that feels like enough. I am very disappointed in you. The servant is past. I am very disappointed in you. I can see you clearly, and I will hunt you, and I will burn you. You do not even appreciate how insignificant you are. The sun rises once more. It is a be-not day. I start my studies as an acolyte. It's a full-time affair, but it's surprisingly more lax compared to university. I still haven't told my family I dropped out. It's a battle for future live. It's been a few weeks since the incident. I still think back to what happened, especially with Mike. His body was found in the tunnels, and it's been treated as an unsolved murder, at least according to the papers. I want to contact his family at least, but I do not get many opportunities to leave the church due to my situation. Red seems to be doing much better. They still are scarred by the last month's events, but their nightmares have been taken over by dreams of the bent woman. They've been sworn in as an aspirant to the church. We are both together with the bent woman. She does not exist within a specific location, but materializes her shadowy body where needed. She's dropped some hints to her past. She once got into a knife fight with the Greyan ni Maela and parlayed with Rumi. I recognize one of those names. She's lately returned to being able to meet with the clergy, but still does not appear in public. She does not, she explained, want to draw the attention of the powers that be. Also learned that she originally met with the Unbound as the old man Dennis Doherty over 100 years ago. After his life was slowly being broken by the penal system, she gave him the ability to take revenge, something he was too mentally broken to do. She does not like it when I ask her about him, so I do not pry too far. As for where he is now, I can only presume he still wanders the city, wishing to die. Philip Martin, the professor who persisted asking for the book by Sobolev, has disappeared without a trace. Can't say I don't entirely know what happened to him, as I was involved in a certain rite. The bent woman had become concerned about his presence. Whoops. Sorry, Philly. Bill has taken the role of the new minister, though he goes by William now. He'd been in touch with the bent woman since the incident with Ruby, although his relationship seems less intimate than ours. He's in charge of ceremonies, such as the one today. I am unable to go out to the funeral, due to being watched. When I killed the tall goat, I've set upon marked by some entity I do not understand. Still, it is a personal moment meant for both Red and Bill. I would feel out of place, anyway. I hear a door being opened and a voice calling for me.
Acolyte live?
I head downstairs to see Red standing on the foyer to the church house. They look like they've been crying, clutching a book. I give them a hug.
Thanks.
How'd it go?
Fine. I mean, I wish I could have known her better, you know?
Well, there was a rite that could supposedly bring the dead back.
Forget it.
They give me a wry smile despite the sadness in their eyes.
Have you never seen a movie? That always leads to being eaten or mauled by ghosts and or ghouls.
They lay the book on the end table.
Besides, only the minister is supposed to use it anyway.
They sigh, flicking through the pages and look at the most recent entry. Minister Helen Stott. Buried in respect with orchids. Favorite. She'd have liked you, I imagine, says Minister William, heading inside from the trip. Yeah? She just wanted to do what's best for Red, he clarifies. She'd originally told Ruby and I that you'd simply gone missing, he adds, indicating Red. But she was a bad liar. I nod. He heads back to outside to prepare the evening ceremony. Red closes the book sadly, leaving it on the table. Are you going to be okay today?
Yeah.
They give a weak smile. I feel a hand on my shoulder and shiver, and a familiar voice speaks to us. I feel her embrace once more. There was an old woman lived under a hill, and if she be not gone, she'll be there still. Ending number 1, The Old Woman.
That was great.
That was fucking great.
So I saw that this was the developer's first piece to go public.
I think if I read it, I did scanned their release thing for it, but I think it's their first major project. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised because this seems polished and cool and good in terms of the storytelling.
Oh yeah, and there are 2 other endings.
Yeah, I think I would recommend that y'all pick it up and experience ending 2 or 3.
Absolutely. As always with these episodes, links to all the games we're playing are in the description below. So if you want to check these out for yourself and or support the dev, which you should do.
Developers.
Click the little links below. Once again, we want to thank all of our patrons for making stuff like this possible month after month. Y'all are some of the kindest people in the world, and your continued support means the world to us.
It does.
We also want to extend some special thanks to patrons in our I'm Jacked In tier, including Alice Demore,
Alyssa Clarkson,
Brian B,
Carlos David Barrera,
Chris 1024,
Frosty Dragon,
Lupine Pariah,
Mercury,
Raina,
Snow Flurry,
The Fighting Doll,
and Wheel Baron.
If you like what we do here and want to support us, you can join this list at patreon.com/8pr. Doing so at different tiers allows you to do stuff like vote on our Twitter nickname, vote on which creators we play in these featured episodes every month, and also get you access to Patreon exclusive videos, including our Let's Play of Ace Attorney. The first 2 episodes of that are available on the main channel now, but episodes 3 and 4 are currently only available for patrons. They will be made available on the main channel at some point, but we'll want to make sure that our patrons get, first crack.
Yeah.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.